What are some places to explore online during quarantine to pass the time? I find myself going from page to page on Wikipedia. Starting at one topic then going down a rabbit hole. Doesn't seem like the most exciting thing, but I find it interesting. The Wikipedia rabbit hole is a fun one. Always interesting to see how far off topic you end up. Do a Wikipedia speed run with friends. Write down a bunch of random subjects, have someone blind pick two. Go to Wikipedia, see who can get from the page on subject A to the page on subject B in the least clicks. Ducking. Love the Wikipedia game. There's a certain skill to it too, which is awesome. The skill is going as far back in country as continents as you can, then pick your path from there. 60% of the time it works every time. See, that's why I keep myself from picking those when I play. I'm going to get to Hitler through asparagus, not Germany. I once got to Hitler starting at PVC pipe. To be fair, it's entirely possible to get to Hitler, or anyone that notable in history, pretty easily from just about anywhere. The hard bit is, say, getting from Hitler all the way to something like a list of games using the Glide API. Something blatant to something obscure is usually tricky. I remember one time going from lemon meringue pie roundabout to nuclear physics. That was a trip. Eternal Jukebox will loop any song you want indefinitely, with each time being a unique mix of the song. It's a bit difficult to explain the exact mechanisms of it, you would have to just look at the website. It's extremely busy, so Redditors must like. Bravo! It went viral on TikTok a little while ago, so I'm guessing that video is still circulating. Check out Rinternet is Beautiful and filter by top all-time posts. You'll be busy for months. 2 hours later. Boy, you weren't kidding. Top all-time. Check out what your web browser knows about you. No thanks. Check out Ruin My Search History in one click. Now that's a no thanks. Random wikis. Reading into the lore of a game you've never even heard of is really fun. Edit, Pro. Why the Duck is an answer to an AskReddit thing. My most liked post of all time. What the fuck? I stumbled onto Warhammer 40k and became transfixed the other day. Great advice. Edit, all these comments are giving me ideas. You guys rock. Warhammer 40k wiki truly is a rabbit hole. Never played the game, never will, but, still. What a universe. Even if you wanted to play, you couldn't afford it. That's not even an insult. You could be well off and still not have the cash to spend on a full army. It's bananas. Buddy of mine does bespoke miniature painting, and an ongoing client has had him painting an army. At $20 a mini, the guy is $2,000 in and counting. I've painted minis and I'm not that great. $20 per seems really low for the effort. For standard units, it's ducking stellar. Unless you think every mini needs to be painted to hero mini level. Depends if you airbrush or manual. A lot of sites, back in the day you had companies like Blue Table Painting, charge you less for airbrushed minis than for manually painted minis. The artists don't make a lot though, $8 to $11, so Therese that. Commissions can go really high though. If you want a specific theme and possibly some modifications, then you are easily looking at $100 for some of the more special miniatures. Most aren't happy with an airbrushed commander either, so they pay extra for the manual work. Ms. G. Ike has an awesome YouTube channel where he paints minis over the course of hours and they look fantastic. But those would send you back thousands of bucks to get an army. Best is still to paint them yourself. It's 50% of the fun, and the game is 100% more fun if you have your own painted army to show off. Smile. And believe me, anyone can learn to paint table-ready minis. It just takes time. Me and my brother spent a few hours messing with Rave.dj last week. It's really fun. Just pick 2 or more music, copy plus paste their YouTube Spotify links, and let and I try to mash them up. You will always get surprisingly good and funny results. I is good. Oh. I have a few. Into drawing? Go to posemaniacs.com for some art figures. Are you into quizzes that aren't random BuzzFeed crap? Sporkle is a fun one to look into. Or maybe you like to explore? Well, try GeoGuessr and it will put you in a random spot in Google Maps where you have to go around and guess where you are. Edit, they'll just add on to the list. Dollar Street Gateminder is really cool. It's basically a website that shows in photos of possessions how families around the world live. It's super interesting. Do you like having background podcasts playing? Or maybe you're just a story nerd like me. If you are those or want to get into some D&D, you should watch Critical Role. It's a YouTube show, and it's hilarious. Watch Campaign 2, you won't regret it, I promise. Want more puzzles? Maybe you like puzzles such as Sudoku? Well, my friends, if you type Minesweeper on Google and you can play there. Or play Picross, it's also called Nonogram. Much fun at it too. I completely forgot about Drawception, basically a game where you make a prompt and someone else draws it and goes on for a bit. Very fun. Coursera is offering some free online courses if you're into that. ClassCentral.com edit. I haven't even been on Reddit for like a month and just made an account to see what it's like. I'm so happy a lot of you liked my suggestion. I hope you all find something that interests you and that you enjoy learning for the sake of learning. I'll see some of you in the paleobiology class. Smile. I am the founder of the site you linked to, Class Central. We aggregate free courses, or at least free to audit, from close to 1,000 universities including the Ivy Leagues, Harvard, Stanford, etc. The catalog has now grown to over 15,000 courses. Here is another article where we have been compiling with all the learning that is free due to coronavirus. ClassCentral.com report free online learning coronavirus. There are more than 50 plus providers in that list. Edit. Thanks everyone. I am blown away by the kindness in this thread. 13-year-old account Holy Duck Edit. Oh my god, can I get an F for my inbox? Had to check that for myself, had no clue Reddit was even around in 2006. Being over 13-year-old on Reddit is kinda like being 3,000-year-old Earl. Get off our lawn, youngins. I'm really enjoying reading internet fiction. Some website stories I'd recommend, the SCP Foundation, which is a collection of small horror stories in the form of a scientific journal catalog. Worm, which is pretty much a book that was written online. It's about superheroes and has some pretty interesting takes on the superhero genre. It is fairly long though, but it's difficult reading. Unsounded, which is an epic fantasy comic series with some really lovable characters. I really love the world building and characters in it. The world feels real and all the characters go on such interesting journeys and development. The art is just also gorgeous. The author makes wonderful use of GIFs and borders, and instead of being tacky, it adds to the atmosphere. Radio.garden is pretty cool. You can listen to radio stations across the world. Sometimes I like to just plop myself down in rural France, or bustling cities like Seoul and just listen to the radio there and pretend I live there or something. Lol. Radio.com is similar, but the stations span across a few decades this time. Therese also this person does know Texas.com, which is really trippy and has I generate faces of people that don't exist. The backgrounds are kinda odd though. Sometimes Therese weird random fleshy bits, but it's still super cool. Edit. I love random cool websites, so I just wanted to mention one more. Lol. TalkToTransformer.com is really cool. You enter in a small phrase or whatever and I will randomly generate more text to write a small paragraph or two. I loved getting it to write Voldemort x Harry fanfic. Therese also this person does know Texas.com, which is really trippy and has I generate faces of people that don't exist. The backgrounds are kinda odd though. Sometimes Therese weird random fleshy bits, but it's still super cool. It's all fun and games, refreshing the page, looking at the faces until a picture of yourself appears on screen. Then you look down at your hand as it slowly starts to disappear, and you realize you've now been consumed by the eye to become another one of the many faces in its vast collection of souls. Happened to my friend. Whatever you do, don't visit www.reddit.com. Time will pass you. Duck. Might be a little late. I think I've spent a year on it in a session. Stardew Valley, quite a hip place to explore when you need a break from your farm. I was blown away when I first read the Stardew Valley wiki. Literally every possible interaction and item is detailed on there, down to the daily schedule of every single NPC. Whoever helped write it did one hell of a job. I know next to nothing about Stardew Valley, but I do frequent wikis for others' games. In general, a lot of the detailed information, and especially specific in-game data like NPC schedules and dungeon loot, are farmed automatically from game data by bots. A lot of those pages are probably initially populated by bots. MapeCrunch. Just hit the button and it takes you to a random street view, anywhere in the world. It's like teleporting across the globe, then being able to explore in any direction. And you can even change the settings to just take you anywhere within a single country, or select a small group, etc. Highly recommend GeoGuessr. Get dropped on Google Street View, try to pinpoint where on the map you started. You can play a bunch of different ways, trying to find your exact location without a time limit, or with a time limit, with or without outside help, with or without moving from the start location, or just doing your best quick guess at what country you're in, and many more combos. A great way to explore the world. It's a small subscription, $3 million, $2 million on annual sub, less than one coffee a month, fee only added since Google raised their Maps API fees by 3x last year, but you can play for free by playing challenges created by other players. You can find a lot of them on GeoGuessr. There's also a free trial. Well worth the sub but fun even if you just play existing challenges for free. Edit, I should also say I've found it's a great game to play with friends, including non-gamer friends and family. Often they're a little confused by the concept, but they quickly get hooked on seeing wild fascinating places like French villages, the island of Malta, Nigerian markets, Bolivian pueblos, etc., and the compulsion to score 5,000 max points is high. For playing with first-timers, I recommend the Urban World Map as it ensures there's lots of information, signs etc., to look at nearby. As they get the hang of it, the diverse world map is great for adding more challenging but often fascinating locations both inside and outside of towns.